We're going to experiment here without looking at anything. We're going to do 1 and 2 point perspective I am on this paper, and we're going to talk first about the horizon line. Now this is a artificial horizon line. It doesn't designate anybody's eye level, but your horizon line is always at your eye level. So as I sit here and look out, my horizon line would be through the walls, out, past mountains, trees. I would come to where the earth meets the sky. As I look down, I have some boxes on a table. Those boxes are below my eye level. If I stood up, my horizon line would be higher. If I sat down on the floor, my horizon line would be lower. So I'm drawing an imaginary horizon line so I can show you how to do 1 and 2 point perspective, which actually was discovered or invented during the Renaissance. I'm going to start with 1 point perspective. I'm going to draw just a square here underneath my horizon line, which would make it below my eye level. And in theory, with 1 point perspective, your box, if you're drawing a box or a building, you're going to see the front plane of that box straight on. So that means the bottom of the box and the top of the box are parallel with your picture plane and parallel with the horizon line. So I'm going to put an imaginary vanishing point. I'm calling this imaginary because I'm not drawing anything I see, I'm just working, demonstrating, and I'm going to draw from this corner of the box a straight line. You can use a ruler to the vanishing point, and from this corner another straight line to the vanishing point. Alright, this is not a box yet. I have to close it off and draw the top plane. So in 1 point perspective, I see the front of the box and the top of the box. I'm going to still use 1 point perspective. I'm going to draw the box over here. But this time I'm going to draw a straight line to the same vanishing point from this corner, and this corner. So, straight line to vanishing point 1. From this corner, straight line to vanishing point 1. Try to make that straight. Use your ruler if you need to. You're going to be doing this in your sketchbook, so a 12-inch ruler will work fine. And from this corner. Once again, to make this a cube, I'm going to shorten the plane on the side of the box and the top of the box. And then for you to be able to see this better, I'll erase my working lines. These boxes are below your eye level, below this imaginary horizon line. But what if the box was taller? So I'm going to draw a rectangle that is, the top of it's above the eye level or above the horizon line, while still the bottom of the box is below the horizon line. Again, to one vanishing point from this corner, and from the top complete the plane, the side of the box, and erase. What you'll notice here, remember we checked our angles. If the box is below your horizon line, your angle will go up to the vanishing point. If it's above the horizon line, your angle will go down to the horizon line. Now before I go on to two-point perspective, I want to talk a little bit about cylinders in perspective also. I'm going to actually make this box into a cylinder. I'm going to take the top of the box and draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, and I'm going to draw a line to divide it in half, horizontally and vertically, and I'm going to try to make a perfect circle, which is an ellipse if it's in perspective. I'm going to carry this down. So if this is a cylinder, if it's a cup, and I'm going to erase all that extra, the box that the cup is in. All right, we have the ellipse, which is the circle in perspective. Just like the box, it's below our eye level, so we can see the top of the box, like we wouldn't be able to see the top if it was above our eye level. And we have the sides of the cup or the cylinder. Now, the only problem is we have this flat line. If this is an actual cup, the circle or the ellipse has to exist at the bottom of the cylinder as it does at the top of the cylinder, only because it's further away from our horizon line. That ellipse is going to be a little bit wider. If this was a tall cylinder over here, actually I'm going to draw through this, draw from here, this corner to the vanishing point. Should be looking like something like this. I don't know what I've done wrong, but anyway, back to the, all right, let's give it a cylindrical shape here. Carry this up. Erase the box. If the cylinder ended right at the horizon line, the ellipse would no longer be a circle. If it was right at your eye level, it would be flat. As it goes above the horizon line, the ellipse now becomes a frown. If this was a glass cylinder, then you would be able to see that ellipse. Drawing ellipses are quite difficult because 1 and 2 needs to be identical and 3 and 4 need to be identical. The front of the the cylinder is a little bit closer to you than the back. So this is going to be a little bit wider than the back of the ellipse. All right, 2-point perspective. In 2-point perspective, there are 2 points on the horizon line. So an imaginary horizon line again. We use 2-point perspective when we can see 2 planes of the box and the top of the box. So the corner of the box is going to be closest to us. So I'm going to just draw an imaginary corner of a box. Now, because this is imaginary, I can put my vanishing points anywhere on the paper. I'm going to go as far out as possible. Vanishing points 1 and 2. And yes, you know what to do. You go from this corner over, this corner over. So a straight edge would work, or just, actually, if you're doing this at home, use a ruler. Straight to the vanishing point 1. From the top over to vanishing point . And from this corner to vanishing point 2. All right, where is my box? Let's just shorten the plane here, shorten this side of the box. So here's plane 1, plane 2, side 1, side 2. Now we just take and draw a line from this corner to the right. And from this corner and here we have our cube, our box in space using 2-point perspective. You can exaggerate, elaborate, make windows. Go up to the point again. But how do we use 1 and 2-point perspective when we're actually drawing what we see in front of us? It's actually harder than you think. I'm going to demonstrate. You use it in theory to help guide you, but you may find that in reality, our 2 points are going to be over here, and unless you're allowed to draw on your walls, you may not be able to actually do 1 and 2-point perspective. So that's why we always go back to measuring our angles. Now my real horizon line is straight up. So my horizon line's up here, so my box is way down here. I'm going to draw my horizon line as close to the top of the paper as I can. So the box is down here. I see the corner of the box. Now, if I put a point here and point here, that would not inform me as to the angle of the box. The angle of the box is what's going to tell me where the vanishing point is. But if I find one vanishing point, then I can use that vanishing point for the other, for this. If I find the vanishing point, if I get the corner, the angle correct here, I find that vanishing point on the horizon line. That vanishing point can work for this and then for this. So we go back to measuring. citing the angle. All right. I'm actually going to use the edge of my let's see if that works. And okay, here is what I mean about your vanishing point going off your page. If I follow this line, which I've correctly cited the angle, and follow that line up, I would need a piece of paper this big to have the vanishing point on the horizon line. And the same will be true, I believe, for this, but maybe not. Let's see. Maybe we'll get lucky here. Follow this up and out and off my paper. My vanishing point is over here. So knowing 1 and 2 point perspective is helpful, but the most important thing is still citing the correct angle, because we don't have a huge piece of paper to actually do the mechanical, and actually looking and figuring that you include the negative space, you include what we learned before about puzzle pieces, you include what we learned about angles, will actually give you a more natural drawing than if you did the mechanical 1 and 2 point perspective, although it is a way of correcting your drawing if you need to find out what might be off. Also, it's going to help you draw the cylinder foreshortened, which we will do next.